GSL.
Welcome back to the GSL Code A. We are going into our winners match, and it's YongHwa versus Leenock, a Protoss versus Zerg. One of these two players is going right to Code S, and it's hard to say who is actually favored here.
I would give actually YongHwa a little bit of an edge considering how he played in the first series against Flash. Of course, it was not the same matchup that he has to play right now, but he looked really solid and the build looked crisp, whereas Leenock was struggling against Bravo, who we thought would be the kind of the weak point of the group. And Bravo took the first map and got a little bit unlucky in the third one, but I feel that so far YongHwa's play looked more convincing.
Yep, I would agree with that. And Leenock was also very aggressive in all of the games that he played. And in Zerg versus Protoss, especially on these newer, bigger maps where it's, well, there's a mothership core that can use photon overcharge and there's tight walls across to figure out how to do. It's a lot more difficult to actually be aggressive against a Protoss player, and so Leenock's going to have to play the late game. He's looking at us. You don't look at the camera like that. It's like he's trying to find us.
It's a completely different matchup though, so we're going to find out who has the edge here. Statistically speaking, YongHwa is a little bit favored since he has the better win ratio there. But let's see what shape Leenock is in and what he can do here in this winners match in the best of 3. The last time Leenock actually played this matchup offline was at DreamHack Winter, where he lost to YongHwa and Hero.
It's been a long time. Well, not that long, but it's been a little while.
A few months.
YongHwa has been playing a lot more televised matches these days in Pro League. And Leenock being teamless, not really affecting him, I guess, all too much because the Faux house did operate until the Code A qualifiers, so he's been able to get practicing with his teammates. That's what all the Faux players were saying. So I'm sure he's still pretty well practiced with his teammates, even though he's been kind of out of televised matches for a little while now.
The first map is going to be Polar Knights, Zerg versus Protoss, both of them getting ready for their game here, and the winner, as already mentioned before, is going straight to Code S. After this match, we're going to have the losers match between the two Terran players, Flash going up against Bravo, and the winner of the losers match, of course, going to face the loser of the game that we have at hand here. I guess we're going to jump into the map any second now.
Yeah, I think there might be a computer problem with one of these two. There's no reason why we should wait this long otherwise. I'm not sure, though. I don't have the chat open. Can't see it.
Well, whatever it is, I'm pretty excited to see how exactly Leenock is going to do, because as we said before, the last time that he played against a Protoss player offline has already a few months passed. Since then he has of course practiced quite a bit, especially for the recent Code A qualifier where he had to practice for each and every matchup. So I want to see what he's going to do against YongHwa right now. Against Terran, we've seen his strategies already, or just a few of those in the last series, but now he's going up against a Protoss player, and YongHwa is definitely a tough opponent to beat, especially since he has a 65% win ratio in this particular matchup. Let's see what YongHwa and Leenock can do here. Game number 1 in the best of 3 at the GSL Code A. Call on Wolf.
YongHwa versus Leenock.
And starting to the top of the map, we have Leenock after his 2-1 victory against Bravo, the Terran player. And he's going up against the Protoss this time. Starting to the bottom of the map, Polar Knight. And for incredible miracle, YongHwa. He defeated Flash with 2-0 and is now up against the Zerg player. And when we were talking earlier about the win ratio for the both players, YongHwa, yes, he has a 65% win ratio. But to be quite honest, the last 3 best of 3s that he played against Zerg, he lost all of them. He lost against Hydra, he lost against Su, and he lost against Boong Boong. His last victory offline against Zerg was in the GSTL Season 1 playoffs back in July against Scarlet. So
it's been a while.
Yeah, a little bit, like half a year ago.
And we'll see how well he does, of course, going into this best of 3. You know, I've been really excited for Code A for a long time. It's been a while, and I've been commenting Pro League doing all best of 1s, and you really get to see such an awesome dynamic in a best of 3. And, you know, commentating GSTL with you and then waiting for the Code A to come back, I feel that same excitement when I watch this best of 3 type of series unfold. Pylon block does go down to annoy Leenock here. It's really cool to see like Leenock's series evolve against Bravo, for example. The 2 players there just changing things up slightly, but also you could see their personalities stick out in the series. Double block here is really annoying for Leenock. He also takes a lot of hit point damage on that drone.
For Leenock, it's of course very important to make something happen in this series. He really wants to go to Code S. That would be absolutely amazing for him, especially since he's currently teamless and looking for a new team. And if you are one of those Code S players, there is a certain reputation that goes with that, especially since Leenock is of course someone who has won several overseas tournaments in the past. One of the best Zerg players that we haven't had in Korea for a long, long time. And it would be really sad to see him not join a big team soon.
Yeah. Definitely true. I mean, if you want to operate as a pro gamer, you need to, in Korea, be on a team. And if you're not, you need to at least be in a tournament that's making you a decent amount of money. You know, that's ideal. So, we'll see how he does here. Already in the winner's match, I mean, pretty great position for him.
He's getting a lot of Zerglings here.
Yeah.
It's 8 lings in total.
And he was denied for quite 10.
a bit. He's going for 10 Zerglings. And that's a lot of Zerglings for the early game. He really wants to start putting some pressure onto that Nexus. He sees that there is no wall for his opponent. 2 of the Lings are chasing that probe. Not quite sure if YongHwa really saw the rest of the Zerglings. He certainly doesn't control the Zalnaga Watchtower. So that Nexus could be attacked here. We have the first cell just now being built. But Leenock really wants to be the aggressor in the game now that he was so annoyed by this early pylon block of YongHwa.
Since it was Gate, Nexus, and then Core, the Nexus has built up a lot of hit points. But even still, with only one Zealot here, he's not going to be able to hold this Nexus. Or rather, he's not going to be able to defend it with only one Zealot. He has to wait a little bit longer. The Zerglings can surround and kill the Zealot. He's going to need more. He's going to need the Mothership Core.
Yeah, he's just trying to buy some time, and with the Mothership Core, he cannot save the Zealot, but he can at least trade, takes down a few of the Lings as well. And Leenock is just now going to try to do as much damage as possible to that Nexus.
He actually might even try to run into the main base, but there's a Zealot and a Probe. And this is not an investment that really paid off for Leenock.
Yeah, Mothership Cores saving Protoss since 2013.
Yes, that's definitely true. That's been a pretty big change to Heartless Swarm.
Yeah, it was a massive change.
Everyone was wondering how it was going to work out too. Remember at the beginning, the Mothership Core used to be attached to the Nexus. Now it's its own unit. If it were attached there, he would have had to, use some energy to go to the other side.
Yep.
It's really fun to see Heartless Swarm transform, and it's still pretty new. I'm already looking forward to Legacy of Void though, because that's how my brain works, and I'm always looking for new things. That's why I get a new phone way too often.
Well, we don't get phones that often.
Well, it was like a year. I only had my last one for like a year, which is for me pretty quick.
Yeah, it's pretty normal these days, I feel.
Yeah, well, phones are getting so much better, so much faster. Always want the new thing.
I'm still waiting for the S5 to come out. I really want to try a different brand. I never had a Samsung phone. So far, I'm pretty happy with my Nexus, but the S5 is going to be probably my next one.
Yeah, it was possibly going to be mine. I have the Note 3. It's pretty sick.
Well, lead tech for Leenock, and he's getting his third base as well, taking the extra gas. For his opponent, we have the Stargate tech, which was already scouted by Leenock, so he's very well aware what he's up against. Not saving those Overlords just yet, not trying to run away. Probably resigned already, knows that they're going to die eventually. But for now, we have also for YongHwa straight the robotics here. So he is able to save his base, the early pressure by Leenock not really doing all too much, taking down one of the Zealots. That's the only thing that he could accomplish here. Trying to spread the creep a little bit, of course, always from the natural towards the third base to make the Queens a bit more viable as a matters of defense. And getting the Spore Crawlers now, the first Phoenixes are on the map, and with the Spore Crawlers he can at least keep his Queen safe, and the mineral lines with the drones.
Yeah, Phoenix sneaking around the right side here. Gonna find that Overlord. And the end of our graphics generation for this map. See on the edge, I think it's black. That's what the Overlord sees. He's not going towards the light, he's going towards the dark. He will be taken out there. Wow.
Yeah, poor Overlord.
The third base that we're going to see from YongHwa is going to be so safe with the fast Colossus tech coming out.
Pretty standard transitions here. Phoenix into Colossi, and for Leenock we are going to see the Hydralis that are then going to be challenged by the Colossus themselves. So you need the Spire upgrade if you want to go into Corruptors. You have the chance of going into maybe even a Hive tech to get those Vipers into the game. A couple of options there depending on how the game goes.
A lot of Overlords going down here for Leenock. That's a bit painful. He's come over here, he's identified, okay, you still have a third base, and you're still not even trying. You don't have any units over there except the Mothership Core. So he has to keep in mind that it's a very late third. And it's going to be like really safe the way Leenock, or rather the way that YongHwa takes this. He waits a long time, waits till he has a few more units out, He's going to start the Sim City. And he's going to have Colossi very quickly to deal with those Hydras. And against an aggressive player like Leenock, I don't blame him for playing it this way.
I mean, that third base should be pretty safe for YongHwa. We've seen a lot of Zerg players trying to apply some pressure with Ling and Hydra, but the timing doesn't really work out for Leenock here. The Observer in the base sees the Hydra list, so he's probably going to be really happy about his transition here. It's the normal thing that we see. We've even seen this in Wings of Liberty already.
Yeah. One Phoenix may fall. So close. Actually gets the third Hydra there.
Yeah, really nice micro by YongHwa. He sees the opportunity and he takes it. That's always the danger that you're in when you start to build Hydra lists. If you don't keep them close to your Spore Crawlers and they're only in few numbers, then the Phoenixes can go in and take them down.
It's a great map to play this style too because, you know, as you guys can see, there's a ton of dead space behind the natural. So if you catch units in the natural here, or even at the ramp, like this Overlord, if the Hydras come and surround you, you can go behind the dead space behind the natural, or you can go out this way. So there's a lot of maneuverability, a lot of dead space where the Hydras can't chase. They're already slow-ish as it is against Phoenixes. The Phoenixes are just so fast. I mean, it's hard to call anything fast when you compare it to a Phoenix. Same speed as a Hellion, I guess, but otherwise, nothing really. Ooh, well, that's a bit of a mistake.
Yeah, he didn't see the Hydra list there. One of the Phoenixes goes down, another one loses quite a lot of his hit points. And now what Leenock does is actually spread his creep quite aggressively across the map and trying to claim as much map dominance as he can, whereas YongHwa is of course still sitting tight on those three bases and trying to saturate the third mineral line, getting that income that will allow him to open up all those additional tech trees. And we have Leenock looking for a fourth base, and he's able to sneak that drone past those Hellions. Past those Phoenixes, of course.
Yeah, that would have been huge if he could pick the drone off. Not only does he not, but he loses another Phoenix to those Hydras.
Second Stargate goes down now. We have the first few Void Rays already been built. And the Stargate, I think he built that before he saw what kind of tech choice Leenock went for here, but it's probably, I mean, what is he going to do? You will expect the Spire to come out eventually, since what else can the Zerg play do at this state of the game if you really want to counter your Colossi? It has to be Corruptors.
Yeah, Corruptors indeed. With the Void Rays already starting to come out here, that's going to be, wow, that's a fast Fleet Beacon.
Yeah, pretty fast, and that allows him not only to get the Tempest, but also the upgrade for the Phoenixes, especially if he at some point is afraid of the transition into Mutalisks.
And I also want to note that if it goes like late, can get the double air upgrades. I don't think he researched any air upgrades yet. He's not that rich. He's only got the 6 geysers, and he hasn't had them for that long. And when you're dropping 200 gas on a Fleet Beacon, it starts to get pretty expensive. But the Corruptors need to deal with the Colossi, but also the Void Rays. And this is going to take a lot of multitasking out of Leenock, because if you just fight that army straight up and you don't micro, and you don't have support, then your Corruptors are going to die so quickly with the Void Rays. This is a big attack, but I'm not so sure this is really going to be able to do the damage that Leenock wants it to.
Depends a little bit on how many Voiders we will have in the picture and how well they are positioned against those Corruptors, because the Hydra list, if they are able to snipe them, it's going to be pretty difficult. But this army is already pushing Leenock back, especially, of course, with the support of the Photon Overcharge that we have on the Nexus.
Leenock looks like he's going to swing around and go for the natural. The Overcharge is going to stay active. This is just way too much DPS for Leenock to engage this. I mean, the Phoenixes alone are going to do damage to the Corruptors. He's got those Void Rays there as well. And 3 Colossi are going to be quick work of everything on the ground. Goodbye, Overseer. Ouch.
And a supply block there for Leenock. So Leenock gets himself a bloodied nose and then moves back with the rest of his army.
I mean, he is like really committing to this attack. YongHwa, that is, he even committed to chasing with those Phoenixes.
He can't chase too far, or those Zerglings will just run into that third base and try to take it down. Photon Overcharge or no Photon Overcharge. That's exactly what's happening here. That one cannon is not enough, and that Nexus is gone. The army is just too slow for YongHwa.
Yep. And this is actually going to be a pretty good trade for Leenock.
It's a really good trade.
I mean, he's not even losing really any of his ground army. Decides to trade the Lings to try to help the Hydras get away.
YongHwa chased too far. He moved out too far, and that suddenly opened up the pathway for Leenock. And he's like, well, if you are this far out on the map, I'm just going to run and take a Nexus and then retreat. And now YongHwa has to kind of counter push.
He definitely does. And he knows that Leenock didn't lose a whole lot of army, but he still has the better army. And he's confident to push through here. 12 Corruptors against a soon-to-be 5 Void Rays with the Stalker support, and also those Phoenixes. Not going to be a comfortable engagement for Leenock, but YongHwa's hesitating here a little bit. This gives Leenock more time. He gets more
waiting
bank
for the additional Colossus. It's 4 base against 2. YongHwa has to do something here. He has those extra Void Rays also coming to join the army. 5 Void Rays, 20 Corruptors. Is 20 Corruptors really enough? I doubt it a little bit. We're going to find out quite soon. More and more Zerglings are also coming in. Nice position for the Corruptors here, doing a lot of damage. Trying to snipe those few Void Rays that we have. No corruption used, but he's able to kill every single one of them.
Yeah, he kills every single one of them. And also the Colossi, with that angle, were not able to participate in the fight. The ground army plays Ring Around the Rosie with him here. And the Corruptors are still alive, and they're going to be able to just fly away. During all of this, still no rebase for YongHwa, no rebuild on that Nexus.
And he's also buying himself so much time. There goes Colossus number 1. Colossus number 2 is dead and dying. The third one being attacked. The only thing that he doesn't do is use Corruption here. Another Colossus is down. He's trying to snipe one of them, but a lot of damage also done by YongHwa since he has a lot of firepower with that Gateway Colossi composition.
Yeah, that Gateway Colossus composition is so strong, even without the Void Rays. I mean, if you look at that, you think, okay, the Zerger's going to crush this. He had the perfect angle. His Corruptors were doing so much damage to the Colossi, but the Stalkers alone are also pretty strong on the ground. He still has now 2 Colossi left. Leenock is in a scary position here. His Natural's under pressure.
He didn't use Corruption.
That's
with
true.
Corruption, those Colossi fall so fast. I think he could have killed all of them if he would have used that.
Yeah, they just do so much more damage that way. Counterattack here, also going to kill the Mothership Core.
Yeah, kills the Mothership Core here for now. The Protoss player has the better army though by far, and that is never a good sign for a Zerg player. YongHwa is now in a position where he can start taking down these bases, and that will shut down the income for Leenock. But keep in mind that so far Leenock is still mining from 4 bases against 2.
Yeah, Leenock is actually basically just running away all the time with his Hydra Roach army. He's always circumventing YongHwa's army, and he's outmaneuvering him at every turn.
Oh, 10 Swarm Hosts at a time. That's a really good move by Leenock. He's buying himself time by moving to the bottom of the map and attacking, forcing YongHwa to retreat. And YongHwa was hesitating for a moment. He was like, do I actually take down his bases or do I fall back? And now suddenly there are going to be 10 Swarm Hosts, and that will help him a lot to just delay the next attack a little bit.
Yep, but these Zealots aren't being delayed at all. They're starting to eliminate these drones. This Nexus is being rebuilt slowly but steadily. The Hydras do not target. They actually run away, further buying Leenock a little bit more time. The Swarm Hosts are out. They're ready. And like you said, this is going to be a great delaying tactic against the next push that comes out from YongHwa.
He's just still so far behind.
YongHwa, I think, though, can do some serious damage with his next push. He's got only 1 Observer, though.
He should be able to do the damage. The supply is 103 against 65, and usually you want to be ahead in army supply against the Protoss player.
This hatchery looks like it's going to fall as well, Counter, over here on the right side. He has a hatchery nearby, so it's okay-ish, but obviously you want to have that hatchery well-positioned. And any hatchery you lose is lost production, lost larva.
From a strategic point of view, Leenock is playing a great game right now, just trying to delay YongHwa for as long as he can, always moving in with Zerglings, using the mobility against the Protoss player. But in the last battle, he really could have controlled this army a little bit better. At the beginning, it was looking great. He took down those Void Rays, which was really important. But the Colossi, they were the backbone of YongHwa's army, and with Corruption used, he could have taken that out. And then the rest of the Gateway army is still strong, but it's beatable. Right now, we have those 3 Colossi still alive, and they deal so much damage against the Locusts.
Where's the Observer? The Observer needs to stay alive here. The Overseer comes in. He might try to target that. Oh, there's too many Stalkers. He can't do it.
Way too much. That is way too much for him.
He tries to go for it. Actually, he targets the Colossi instead. The Observer's still alive here, allowing the Swarm Host to be targeted.
It's too late. It's 46 armies to play against 109. He might get the Colossi, and he does, but there, look at the amount of Stalkers that we have. That's 34 Stalkers right there. GG. YongHwa takes the game. Leenock having a couple of really, really good moves there. But in the end, it's the Protoss player who takes the match.
I really like his choice to go Swarm Host, and I really like his maneuverability with his army, always running around. And we had some really great positions with the Corruptors to attack not only the Void Rays, but also the Colossi. But the lack of Corruption, like you said, really affected how much damage output he had. I mean, he could have been so much more efficient with those Corruptors with just a few more casts of that ability.
I really like the decision-making. It's just like he was too far already, far behind already. Like the move into snipe that Nexus, for example, it was just so nice to see him bait YongHwa out, then just go around that edge, snipe the Nexus, and retreat. And then in the battle itself, at that point, he really took a massive lead in the game. He was on 4 bases with income against 3. He just needed to buy himself a little bit more time, and he engaged in a battle where, unfortunately, his unit control was worse than YongHwa's. YongHwa approached this really well, took the army, and then he had that momentum going for himself. And Leenock was just trying to buy himself the time, and the Swarm Hosts were a good idea, but he was too far behind. The army of YongHwa was already too strong.
Yeah. Both of them stretching here and sitting back. YongHwa's unit control was really good, but I feel like if Leenock just played a little bit better, he would have had this game. I mean, the way he was moving his Hydras and Roaches, the counterattacks he was going for, he was literally running circles around YongHwa, and it was just the composition at the end that wasn't enough. And I guess we have some sort of technical problem here.
He definitely had a good shot at winning that game, and I mean, he had a very good chance there. YongHwa apparently either having a problem or he needs a quick break and goes to the bathroom. Not quite sure what the issue is, but Yeah, it was an interesting game. So apparently there are a couple of PC issues for YongHwa, and the admins are currently having a look at that to confirm, double check, and solve the problems.
Yeah, he said that his PC was lagging. Despite that, he was able to take the win. A really solid play. So that's probably not something that affected him like too much throughout the game, but something that he's like, it did jump like once or twice. Can you guys check this out before we go into the second game? Because this is really, really important. He's now 1 game away from going straight to Code S and taking the first place spot in the group.
Yeah, 1 more map win and he goes to Code S right away. I think after the first game, let's talk a little bit about TVT. Who do you think is going to take it? I personally think that Flash will be able to defeat Bravo and then finds himself into the consolation.
I think so too. I think it's going to be a 2-0 even. I don't think Bravo is going to be able to win the TVT against Flash, especially since something about his play today feels a little bit off, and I don't know if it's nerves, I don't know if he's sweating in the booth. Something was just not going right for him in that series against Leenock. Even in Game 1, he had some really weak points despite the fact that he won the game.
The thing is that I feel Flash is probably going to look at this series and being like, I really hope that YongHwa advances, because the first best of 3 between the two of them, that was domination by, well, the last game was actually really close, it was really tense, but in general, YongHwa played really well, and Flash looked a little bit like he didn't really know what to do. So
he was pretty desperate there. I mean, he was attacking into 3-3 Protoss army with like 5 Colossi, with a massive army lead, but...
Well, and for now, of course, Leenock wants to get back into the series. I would expect Daedalus to come up next as the map. We don't know just yet. I don't think we saw that on screen yet.
I don't know. Maybe production will tell us.
It's going to be interesting to see what kind of build... And it would be surprising if it was any other map than Daedalus. It's just like the map that you go for as a Zerg versus Protoss. And it's going to be quite nice to see what YongHwa's strategy is, because he probably assumed already that he would play this map.
And I mean, I don't think we're going to see him go for the cannon wall. We've already moved beyond. We've like gone beyond that, like extremely like nice network play is the answer, or maybe a bust out is the answer. But making a bunch of roaches and staying in your base for a long time, like we saw Sleep do, and then trying to bust out later is definitely not the answer, as it turns out.
I would still like to see that maybe being played by Ruin once, and then just having him the probes patrol at the edge. I feel that could really help a lot. But yeah, I think you can beat that if you... Sleep just lost his cool there. Yesterday. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday, right?
Yeah, that was Sleep versus Ruin yesterday. Feels like we've had so many games, it's like hard to keep track of all of them, but we've got 6 days of Code A coming up, or 4 more days beyond today, but...
exactly, the double days sometimes feels like we will...
They all blur together.
Exactly.
So hopefully we get an update on whether or not we're going to a break, or if his PC's okay pretty soon.
Yeah, maybe
I don't
also
actually know.
decided to just restart the client. I have no idea what exactly the issue is, but apparently was complaining about mini spikes during the game, or small lags. So as soon as that is fixed, we're going to go into the game again. Leenock can use that time to think about what he's going to do on the next map. It's his map choice. He's down in the series with 1 map already. So probably it's going to be Daedalus, and then the main question is going to be how Leenock is going to play that. What we saw from most of the Zergs yet was just going into a fast speed. Most of them taking 14 gas, 14 pool, going into a faster speed, using the speed links to delay the natural of the Protoss player for as long as they can while taking their own expansion. And that's kind of the go-to build from every Zerg we saw so far, and it's pretty tricky for a Protoss player to really do anything against that.
Yeah. You know, I'm really curious to see how YongHwa is going to play it out if we go to Daedalus, which I think we will, because he's a player who doesn't really change things up. The only time where I see him be aggressive ever or play a weird strategies in PvP, because that's how PvP is, and you kind of have to do that sometimes. When you see him play against Protoss, or play against a Terran, or play against Zerg, though, strategies he uses are usually expansion-oriented, late-game oriented, not a lot of timings, not a lot of innovation even. He just looks at the build and he goes, okay, this is the best one for the map, I'm going to play it out, I'm going to play it better than everyone else is, and that's why I'm going to win. So when he's forced to play on this map with a weird wall, and he has to use a weird strategy, maybe be aggressive early on, or do a 3-gate sentry expand, I really want to see how comfortably he can transition into that, like how well he's actually been able to prepare for this, because he doesn't really do things that are out of the box ever. He's a really defensive player who just plays standard as it goes, kind of like Creator Prime, just like one of those players who doesn't do weird things.
I mean, he played super solid in the games that we saw so far, and never really like backed down, and always just believed in his chances to really take the game. That was especially evident in the game in the second map that he played against Flash. A really defensive posture there by him. And on the other hand, the one thing that I was really surprised about a little bit was how Leenock played in the Zerg vs Terran so far, and we are if he loses here again, we're going to see him in another ZBT, either against Bravo again or against Flash. Because the games that he played at the Code A qualifier, when I recorded those APM videos of him, he played really aggressive Roach styles, and depending on the map, he was really going in also with those old school Roach attacks.
Was he doing Nidus stuff or just Roach alone?
No, just with Roach alone. It was not on the Habitation Station, but a couple of the games he really just decided to go for full-on aggression, and that worked quite well for him. What we saw so far was always a little bit different. But we are just going to get an upgrade that apparently something is wrong with the PC for YongHwa, so we're going straight into a 5-minute break, and maybe we're going to switch the PC out. So we'll be back in 5 minutes with the second game between Leenock and YongHwa. So guys, stay tuned, and in just about 5, the problem should be resolved. He's going to get a new PC, and then we're starting with game number 2.